A barbell investing strategy is defined as one that cuts out the middle risk, right? So it's a very low risk investment, steady investment, and then a very high risk, volatile investment, right? And a goal that I have on YouTube is to really bring together the Bitcoin community and the real estate community, because the barbell investment method of having all real estate and all Bitcoin has served me and my family really, really well. And I think it's for a lot of different reasons, right? And I'm going to hit kind of all of them. No real particular order, but just both of these asset classes are something I think a lot about. And they're both asset classes that I watch a lot of YouTube content about. So I've been investing in Bitcoin and watching Bitcoin videos since 2015, and we have owned our own home and owned rental properties since 2020. And a lot of it was Christmas of 2019 heading into 2020 was when we bought our first house, and a lot of that was from being inspired by people doing it on YouTube, right? And I made a video two videos ago where I was comparing kind of like Bitcoin influencers and real estate gurus, and I do think it's funny that like for these two groups very much talk past each other, and there's a little bit of just kind of competition, I guess, between the groups, and they both like to kind of say, I'm speaking very generally here. You're starting to see some really good kind of crossover people kind of begin to talk about both and have talked about growth, but very generally speaking, people that are like all in on real estate or people that are all in on Bitcoin very much see past each other. And I think that's from a fundamental breakdown of Bitcoin is sometimes lumped in with stocks, right? Bitcoin is sometimes lumped in with stocks because if you ask a real estate investor or a Bitcoin investor, like, what is the main thesis behind their investment? It all comes down to like actually the supply of dollars and the supply of fiat money. And so I think that crossover is really, really, really interesting, because you'll even see people will be like, oh, like the prices of homes, your home isn't becoming more valuable, the currency is becoming less valuable. And then other real estate investors will just be like, and like, yeah, and like, and that kind of thing. That right there is what really kind of like bothers Bitcoiners. Again, very generally speaking, because Bitcoin is seen as a like possible replacement for fiat money. Like it can actually solve that. It can solve that, and Bitcoin can become the most saleable good, like the most best money in the world that everyone would be able to rally behind and use as their day-to-day currency, right? And obviously that's super tough right now with the volatility, which is why I'll circle back to the whole barbell strategy and why I believe combining both of them together. But I'm kind of speed running through a lot of the talking past each other that people do. And so the real estate investor will say, Bitcoin's too volatile, it'll never work as a currency, what's the point of that? And then Bitcoiners don't help themselves when they continue to kind of reiterate this whole like, well, never sell, like it's the best thing ever, don't ever sell, right? Whereas real estate investors will tell you like holding for the long term is like a great, good thing to do. Like if you want to be a millionaire, like what should you do? You should buy literally any property and hold it for 20 years is like the way to become a millionaire in the United States. The very tried and true method to becoming a real millionaire. And so they don't like the volatility and the riskiness of Bitcoin because real estate is the tried and true, steady path, right? But here's the thing. We've combined both of them. And both of them are built on the same fundamental thesis that the supply of fiat money is going up. Like the supply of fiat money is only going in one direction. And interior square footage is a scarce asset that everyone wants. Bitcoin is a scarce asset that everybody wants, right? And then they each have their own pros and cons, right? Like Bitcoin doesn't have cash flow. That's the other thing you hear a lot of people talk about is like Bitcoin doesn't have cash flow. So like, why is it valuable? And then you have a lot of other people, Bitcoiners will say back to the real estate, like real estate, you have to pay property taxes. You can't ever like fully own it. You still pay property taxes. And who wants to deal with like tenants and toilets, right? Like tenants and toilets. And so and what I say back to that, like, is, but again, like both are so awesome and so good but real estate, like you can get like a 30-year conventional mortgage at like 95% leverage, and that's an incredible thing. Like that's an incredible wealth building thing, and that illustrates how like liquid, honestly, like fiat money is. The fact that you can still do that today, even at 6.5, 7.5%, like whatever the interest rate is, the fact that you can still get a 95% like leverage loan on a piece of real estate is like a giant wealth builder. And that's what people that are passionate about real estate kind of understand. And so, so take both of these, all the pros and cons of each one of them, all the talking past each other that both groups do. Look, our family, we invest in both. We have, in real estate for the last 100 years has had a compound annual growth rate of about 4 to 5%, right? And then Bitcoin in the last like little bit of time measured years has had a compound annual growth rate of 50 to 60%. So combining both of those together and cutting out the middle, just cutting out the middle gives you a really powerful combination and way to build wealth. And how do I, like, I know this from personal experience. Like, I know this from personal experience that my wife and I would not be millionaires without both of these assets combined together. If we had gone all in on one or the other, or chosen a different method for saving our hard-earned labor, we would not be anywhere close to the position that we're in right now. And so having the kind of like legacy United States tried and true path of like home ownership as a way for dealing with increased inflation and increased supply of fiat money, and then having Bitcoin, I believe, is kind of the new way to deal with increasing fiat money, the new way to deal with inflation, combining both those together. And then other things that we've done is, look, we're a one-car household. And look, we have childcare through a family member, and that family member lives with us. And so that's another reason of like having your own home and having the ability to, you know, have multiple generations inside one home and all share that space together is a way to kind of create efficiency in your life. And then we both work, and having that kind of combined earning potential of both partners working together, having the one-car household, having the baked-in childcare, combined with picking asset classes that are very tried and true, 4 to 5% compound annual growth rate, and very high growth, explosive growth, 50 to 60% compound annual growth rate, and then being able to rely on each other to really save like a large percentage of our income is the path that we've taken, and the path that I think like can, again, like I think is very logical. Like this barbell can work and is very logical for lots of people in the current environment that we're in. And it doesn't involve, and a lot of people ask this, like, oh, like you have to sell your Bitcoin in order to like buy real estate, right? Like a good friend of mine, but he just put like in the comments, he was like, he uses Bitcoin for when there isn't another opportunity. So if you have another opportunity in your life, if you're stacking for a down payment, or if you're, you know, on the path to like saving for the down payment, or if you're investing in your own business, then those are reasons to take a break from stacking Bitcoin. But if both of those things are like good and at a good place, then you're moving into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has that explosive growth, and you have the other things going on in your life that help you lower the volatility in other areas to withstand the upside volatility of Bitcoin over there. Is again another way that kind of the barbell all works together. So I hope you enjoy this. Leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for everyone hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing, and watch these next ones. We'll see you over there.